everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I got something super exciting for you. In just about 10 minutes or more, we're going to learn how to make Python work to fetch live weather data from anywhere in the world. We'll be using the OpenWeatherMap API to get real-time data and then display it in a simple, easy-to-read format. So grab your favorite code editor. I'm going to use Visual Studio Code. Going to go ahead and delete all of this, and we're going to get straight into it. So first, for everybody, you're going to press into this current weather format app. Cool. Now, if you have a account, perfect, sign in. If you don't, create an account. Right after that, you're going to press API keys just like this, and it's going to bring you to this page. This is going to be the key that you use in order to get real-time weather data. Okay, now we got that out the way, we're going to transition back over to Visual Studio Code. And if you guys need a video on how to set up your file, so you just go here, press Use Text File, make sure that you're sticking to Python, which is the language that we're going to use today. So now we're going to head over to Visual Studio Code. First thing first, we're going to need to install the request library, which allows us to make HTTP requests to the Weather API. So now I'm going to go ahead and type it in. I'm going to put import request. That's it. I'm going to go ahead and get me a terminal down here, new terminal. Okay. So now that I imported request and now I have my terminal up and nothing's in there, it's all clear. If you do not have this library called request, you're going to either type in pipe install request, don't forget the S, or you're going to do pipe 3 install, make sure you spell it right, request, and then this is how you'll get it. The whole point of this code is to get weather. So we're going to create a function called definition, and we're going to call it get weather. Now, in order to get weather in our function, we're going to go with utilizing city, state, and the country, so we can get really particular. We're going to use city for a parameter, we're going to use state for a parameter, and we're going to use a country. Don't mind my computer. I have an extension on here that I disabled, but it wants to keep coming up. So, hey, AI is cool, really nice to use, but when you're trying to learn something, just try to stick to learning the actual principles behind it. And then you can use AI, unless you're in school. That got nothing to do with me. Okay, API key. So our API key is already over here. So we're just going to go copy and paste from our weather app, and we're gonna bring it. All right, not too bad, too far. We have our API key, and now we need to think. So I have my API key. We have these parameters. All these parameters make up a location. So we need to set our variable equal to location, and we're gonna use a F string in order to format what it will look like. So this F string is just like makes it simpler. So we have a city, we have a comma, then we're going to use state since it's our second, comma, and then country. Okay, so far we're looking good. We have our API key location, and now we need our URL. But when you're doing any type of API work, you want to go check out the API documentation. So all I did was type out the API documentation, and we're going to use our URL for it. So this is kind of like the base of what the URL will look like. So we're going to type URL. In an API, if you don't know, I'm going to go ahead and put in a little example so it can make it really easy, or the definition on this video so you guys can kind of understand. So in this use, we're going to use this. So now you have the API. I'm gonna make this big. So we have the location being used and we have the API key. So the next thing we need is a response because we're using a website. So our response is going to be equal to our request, which is the library up here that we use. And we're going to use a get. A get is a type of method that allows you to get the information from the JSON. You got to check if our API works. So with that, we're going to use some boilerplate code that a lot of coders use. So we're just going to say .status code equals 200. Okay, you guys? This is just something that won't change. If it equals 200, we're going to say, okay, let's use weather data as a variable to store our responses .json. And if you're a beginner watching this, say, okay, what is a JSON data? A JSON is just a format of structured data that is used to transfer data between a server and a web application. If you have any questions about any of the terminology utilized in this video, please put it in the comments so we can have a discussion, or you can just get the help you need in a quicker manner. The temperature. So weather data. So now we got the full website data coming, but now we need something to set the temperature to. So the temperature, we're going to use weather data again, and we're going to try to get all that information from the main of the JSON. Okay, this is just how you remember it's structured data. That's it. And then we're going to use a variable called temp in order to grab all that information. That's all we need. And then we're going to use a description. Okay. And the description is going to also reference the weather data that's up here. And right now we're just extracting what we need. So with the description, we need the weather. Okay. And we're going to use 0 as well, because this is just getting all the information. So you're just getting that first result of information. Just like if you were to read a book, you're going to get that first full line, going to get everything you need. And then we're going to get the description. And you guys are doing really well. I'm really proud of you. Keep going. You're checking if the API works. But how would our users know? We would need something to communicate that. So let's just use a message that will be shown. Okay? If it works or not. I'm going to use a print statement. Using an F format once again. We're just going to say good morning, because that's usually the time that most people check the weather, just to make sure they have the appropriate clothes on. We don't have no mishaps. And we're going to say good morning temperature in the city, since that's our first parameter right here. It's going to keep it simple. State is our second. You guys are doing well. Keep going. We're going to get it done. And then country is our third. Okay. And let's think. What we want to put on it is, because we have a temperature variable right here that we need to use. And what temperature difference between either Celsius or Fahrenheit. But hey, we use Fahrenheit more so I'm going to go ahead and take this Fahrenheit symbol. And we're going to just copy it and paste it. Perfect. All right. Let's see what we have left. Description. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's read this through. Good morning temperature in the city, state, country is temperature Fahrenheit with description. Nice. Now, if this is not working, so let's say our API doesn't work, which is that, we're just going to print, sorry, we can't get the weather. Please try again. And this is just a little error message so that your user knows what's going on. This is a full definition that we need to get the weather. This is what we need. So I'm going to put a comment, and I'm just going to say we're asking the users for the answers. Simple as that. So it's very important to know in Python that indentation is everything. So as you can see, all of this is under get weather. We're going to set user city equal to input, which is what we're going to use in order to make sure that the user can enter this city. Okay. And then we're going to use user state equal input, enter the state you want. Okay. And then boom, you got it, country. Using input once again. And enter the country. Please, just to change it up a little bit to lessen the repetitiveness of the code. Now this is all nice. We asked them the questions so we can get the answers. But now we need to make sure that we're calling this function. So in order to call the get weather function, we're going to do get weather. Okay, and we're going to use user city that we just created, user state, and user country. Perfect. To make sure, something that we left out is the units. And the units is also on the actual API documentation I showed you earlier. And we want to set it equal to imperial. Okay, this is going to make a big difference on how your number comes out with the Fahrenheit. Okay, it's two ways to run it. You can run it here, start debugging, which is the most recommended way. And then you can just press the button if you have it just like this. So, as my computer thinks, we're going to end the terminal. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to enter Orlando, just for a use case. Florida, for the states. United States for the country, and it says good morning, temperature in Orlando, Florida, United States is 74.3 Fahrenheit with scattered clouds. Now it might be a tad bit off because it's using, OpenWeather map is using different stations. Okay, so it's not too far off. It's a small discrepancy. So we got 74 and they got 75. Perfect.